3 members of a specialized recovery team stood outside an abandoned warehouse on the edge of an industrial district. Their assignment sounded simple. Enter the building, locate a reconnaissance drone that had stopped transmitting hours earlier, recover its data core, then leave. But the structure they were staring at had already gained a reputation among investigators. Locals called it the pipe maze. From the outside, it looked like an ordinary warehouse, rusted metal siding, broken windows, and a heavy sliding door partially stuck off its rails. But inside, something was wrong. Team leader Marcus slid the warehouse door open. The beam of his flashlight cut through the darkness. All 3 of them froze. Instead of an empty warehouse floor, the interior was filled wall-to-wall with pipes. Thousands of them. They twisted together into a cramped tunnel that stretched deeper into the building. Looks like we found where the drone disappeared, Marcus muttered. With no other option, they stepped inside. Lena, their technical specialist, walked in the middle, while Daniel took the lead. The passageways were barely wide enough to walk through. Their flashlight beams reflected off the strange pipes surrounding them. But the pipes weren't normal plumbing. Some looked metallic. Others were made of materials that made no sense at all. Wood, glass, stone. Some even looked disturbingly organic. They followed the route they had memorized during their briefing. Left, left again, then right. The deeper they went, the tighter the corridors became. Occasionally, pipes jutted out of the floor like roots, forcing them to step carefully to avoid tripping. After several minutes of walking, the passage narrowed so much they had to crawl. Marcus squeezed through less. Halfway through the crawl space, he suddenly grunted, "I'm stuck." Daniel and Lena grabbed his arms and pulled. After a moment of struggle, he finally broke free. His pant leg had been shredded by a pipe covered in thorn-like splinters. But they kept moving. Nearly an hour later, they finally reached the drone. It was suspended in mid. Pipes had grown around it from every direction. One long black pipe had pierced directly through the drone's camera housing. Oddly, the lens wasn't broken. Instead, the pipe seemed to have merged with it. Other pipes had wrapped around the drone's wheels and body like vines. The machine hung helplessly, about a foot above the ground. Daniel stared at it. "Well, that's new." Lena stepped closer. Something foul-smelling dripped from the pipe embedded in the camera. Her job was to recover the drone's memory cards. But something about the situation made her hesitate. "What if removing the data triggers something?" she said quietly. Marcus snorted. "It's just pipes." He walked over, popped open the drone Data compartment and pulled out the thin memory cards. The moment he did, a faint hissing noise echoed somewhere deep within the maze. Daniel looked around. "Did you hear that?" Marcus ignored him and tried pulling the drone free. The pipes holding it didn't budge. "Come on," Daniel said. "We've got what we came for." But Marcus braced his foot against a wall of pipes and pulled harder. For a second, it felt like something shifted. I think The floor collapsed beneath him. Marcus dropped straight through a sudden opening. He fell up to his shoulders before Daniel and Lena grabbed his arms, but something glowing filled the hole beneath him. Molten glass, thick and orange, bubbling like lava. Marcus screamed as the heat burned through his clothes. Daniel and Lena pulled with everything they had. Finally, they dragged him free. But only the upper half of his body came out. Lena screamed. The rest of him had been completely destroyed by the molten glass. Before either of them could process what had happened, the pipes around them began to hiss violently. One pipe above them burst. A cloud of fine powder exploded into the air. Daniel inhaled before realizing too late what it was. Ground glass. Pain tore through his mouth and throat as tiny shards shredded the inside of his mouth. More pipes began bursting around them. Boiling chemicals poured from one. Sharp wooden thorns blasted from another. "Run!" Daniel shouted through blood. They sprinted back through the tunnels. The pipes screamed and clanged around them like an entire factory collapsing. They reached the narrow crawl space. Daniel dove inside. Lena hesitated for a moment before following. The cramped passage felt even tighter now. Pipes creaked around them like something alive. Daniel finally crawled out the other side. To turn it back, Lena should have been right behind him. But she wasn't there. "Lena," he called. Nothing. He crawled back into the passage. Just around the bend, the tunnel had sealed shut. A solid wall of pipes blocked the path. He pressed his ear against it. He could hear her screaming on the other side. He pounded on the pipes in frustration. One suddenly burst. Black liquid splashed across his hand. "Acid!" He screamed as it burned through his glove and into his flesh. He scrambled backward, out of the passage, clutching his hand. "I'm sorry," he shouted toward the sealed tunnel. "I'll bring help." He turned and ran. Behind the pipe wall, Lena was trapped in a space barely large enough to move. She felt around in the darkness. There was nowhere to go. Then something began dripping from a pipe above her. A thick liquid splashed onto her face. She tasted Italiano honey. For a moment, she almost laughed with relief. At least it wasn't acid or molten glass. But the honey didn't stop. It kept pouring. Within minutes, it was pooling around her legs. Then her waist. Then her chest. She screamed and clawed at the pipes, but nothing slowed the flow. Soon, the honey filled the space completely. Daniel kept running. The noises behind him slowly faded. Maybe he was going to make it. Suddenly, his foot caught on something. The ground vanished beneath him. He slid into a steep tunnel of pipes, coated in slick liquid. The tunnel twisted endlessly downward. His flashlight bounced wildly as he slammed into the walls. The tunnel seemed to stretch forever. Down. Deeper. Far deeper than the building should have allowed. Eventually, his flashlight flickered and died, and the endless descent continued in complete darkness. To this day, no one knows how deep the pipe maze truly goes, or what it's building down there.
If this creepy story gave you chills, subscribe for more nightmares like this.